And we are live for a brand new episode of Before the Cape. And you know what? I'm craving something, Andrew. Do you know what I'm craving?
Oh gosh, is it bread?
It's a bread. Oh, it's a little more exciting, I think, than bread, if you ask me. I'm
Thanksgiving
craving.
food. Thanksgiving's
Oh,
coming
you
up.
know what? Thanksgiving is coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I'll have a couple Thanksgiving
Kind of
things
makes
and
you go
all
like
that.
this,
Oh,
thinking about it. You just gotta.
yeah. You know what? I might change my answer after that. But no, I'm craving some jitters. Let's get into it.
Ah,
Welcome to the Dingus Den.
exactly.
Anyway, we're alive for a brand new episode of Before the Cape to review the episodes Craving and Jitters, which comes up with the fun thing that we're craving jitters
Yeah.
tonight. Um, our first two-man show, as Ian is unavailable for the night, as life gets in the way as it does, or life finds a way, as we like to say sometimes. So, but me and Andrew here still here to talk about these two episodes, episodes 7 and 8 of Smallville season 1, respectively. So another two-parter, shebang, you could say. But before we get into these two episodes, I want to remind everyone, if you're watching, hit that like button, as well as hit that subscribe button. I'm currently 7 subscribers away from hitting 200,
Nice.
so it's looking good that I could be able to hit that before the end of the year, which I'd be happy about. So, but yeah, without further ado, I think let's just dive on into these couple of episodes where they're quite interesting. Like, just as a whole, I want to begin by saying neither of these were particularly like favorite episodes of mine. Like, not saying that they were bad, but like, I don't
They were
know.
solid.
They were solid. They didn't particularly outshine any other ways. They each had a nice surprise with them, which we'll get into. But yeah, it was just kind of one of those sets of episodes where it's like, okay, yeah, these things happened. Actually, I'd say the story of the second one stood out more, but we'll get to there. Before talking about the second episode, we got to talk about the first episode, the Craving, or just Craving. The Craving sounds like a horror movie of sorts.
It does a bit. Yeah. It was definitely a interesting concept. Um, it was funny when we first see Jody. I was like, "Is that Amy Adams?" I was like, "That looks like Amy Adams." And then when after the credits played and said guest starring Amy Adams, I was like, "Aha! I knew it."
It's kind of one of those things that like you kind of almost don't recognize her at first because of it being like one of her first like big things,
Yeah.
I guess.
And then they had her in that, like, fat suit makeup thing.
Yeah, that
Oh,
didn't help too. Like, you could tell they like messed with her face a little bit,
yeah.
and so like that definitely throws you off too because you're like, that's not how she looks.
No, I was like,
So
"That kinda looks like Amy Adams," but I was like, I wasn't 100% sure.
yeah, it's funny
But
because the thumbnail for this, the weird thing of whenever you first look up
yeah.
this episode, it's her mouth all open up, and when I use that as a thumbnail in our group chat, Ian was like, "So you know who that is, right?" I'm like, "No," because I just from that image, I was like, "No, I don't know who that is."
Yeah, you certainly couldn't tell from the image
I was about
itself.
to say, I was like, I can't tell. And
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it's future Lois Lane. So,
exactly.
uh,
Oh, I didn't even think about that connection there. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, those, yeah. So,
Yeah.
if I was more creative, maybe I would have come up with some sort of fun thing for the thumbnail there, like I did with Mr. Freeze. But um, I don't know. Lois eats a lot, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, nom nom.
Nom
Jeez.
nom.
I mean, jeez. Yeah.
Anyway, that episode in particular was interesting. Having this person, what's her name? Jody Melville. This person where, we see that she's overweight and then she's able to lose weight by
The kryptonite in the soil.
Yeah. Another, I will say that it's like interesting that it's like one thing I will give this episode is, we're starting to see this common reoccurrence every week of kryptonite being the main factor, right? We talked about this a bit in, I think, the last couple episodes of this that we've done, talking about like, hey, like we notice this kryptonite thing's going on. It's still going on, but this time it's being used in a different way, which I appreciate, which kind of helps differentiate this one among the others. So
yeah, this is the first where it's not a direct effect just in her. Like it could affect anyone, because it's the food that she's eating. Which I wonder. I guess her dad doesn't eat these vegetables, or maybe he just doesn't notice it. Maybe he thinks it's normal or something. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, also her dad's in a better shape, so it's like, what does it do to somebody if they're already in better
Well, that's
shape?
true. Yeah.
So I don't know. There's definitely a bunch of things that could come up with it.
Maybe it's a mental thing too. Maybe because she wants to be skinny. Maybe she's able to like use the power with the kryptonite because she loses like 30 pounds
Yeah.
at once.
This makes me wonder too, like, what if like all of it was like mental of some sorts? Like the ice dude got his powers because he was freezing. The only thing about was the cold, so he got cold powers. Like,
yeah,
whenever it all works that way, some way. The guy that loves
yeah,
bugs, he's thinking about bugs, so he got bug
exactly.
powers. I wonder if it all works that
Yeah.
way. Maybe we figured out something here.
Yeah, I mean, that was what I was thinking was, yeah, I mean, it's like as soon as she wishes it, once she eats it, it's like instant. So yeah, very well could be.
Yeah.
Once they have the power and they just think it. But it's funny, Chloe is really the only one that's kind of notices how she lost the weight instantly. But even Clark's like, maybe she just lost it gradually over time and it just wasn't noticeable. Because that's what I wondered when she instantly lost all that weight. I was like, people are gonna notice because you were just fat yesterday.
Right.
Like, you know.
I was gonna say, you can lose weight, but not that quick. We don't have that kind of technology
not 30
yet.
pounds. You can't lose 30 pounds like that. So.
A lot of people would be after that. It's still nowadays, like that's such a huge thing. So
yeah.
America would love to live in a world where you could eat as much McDonald's as you want and
there you go.
lose it off. Eat a week full of McDonald's and then lose it in an hour. So
that's what she does once she starts craving food. I mean, she's eating like all this fast food. I mean, I was like, where are you getting the money? Like, I know fast food was cheap back then, but
I found it funny when
what kind of allowance do you get?
That scene when it's like the fridge shot and you just see her literally eating a little bit of everything. Pulls out a raw sausage and eats it.
And she's just making this big mess on the floor, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna have to clean all that up.
Who thinks she cleaned it up?
Exactly. No, she's yeah. Yeah.
But that was certainly interesting. I don't know. We call these sort of villain of the weeks, and one of the things that you brought up before we went live is that neither of these are kind of villains. They don't have villainous intents. Neither of the episodes had that, and so I don't know. It was one of those things that was kind of interesting, where it's somebody that's just trying to survive. I feel like we saw that with another person that I feel like we talked about, but I don't remember.
Well, I feel like the Mr. Freeze instant, like he didn't necessarily have.
That's what I was saying.
He was just trying to, he was just trying to stay warm.
Exactly.
Given the circumstances, which honestly, I'm sure all of us would do. Like if I mean, like you could argue with her with Jody. I mean, she does go after that boy. I mean, she doesn't kill him, but she does like suck out all his body fat.
Yeah.
But again, she's just kind of getting revenge on him because he was a jerk to her.
Right.
So she's not.
I did like that.
She wasn't really necessarily being a villain, which is why, interesting.
So, yeah, for sure. Other things in this episode, we got, in particular, we got to see a bit of Pete this episode. I feel like this is the most of Pete we got to see in an episode, which is cool. Because he's always been known to be like the friend there, but he's never really been able to shine much up until this episode, so
Mhm.
that was cool. Enjoyed seeing a
Yeah.
little bit of him.
He's a fun character for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
the scene at the beginning, when he first, when first Jody asks him out,
mhm.
you
Yeah.
can tell he's like unsure about it because he's like, it's this mix of emotions of
A
uh
girl's talking to me.
a girl's talking to me, but I also think there's a little bit of, I don't know if I want this to be my first date either,
Right,
because
yeah.
he's obviously be daydreaming about all the other ladies that aren't,
Mhm.
you could say that body size, and
Yeah.
so, yeah, but yeah, I enjoyed that of how like Clark was just poking him, like, yes,
Yeah.
uh-huh,
He's free.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
did enjoy that.
Mhm.
That was a good, I don't know, good way to kick things off. I liked having Pete more involved in it. And obviously
Yeah.
seeing where that plot line went with the episode was quite
Well,
enjoyable.
and we spend most of the episode with Lana's birthday party being planned at Lex's mansion.
Yeah.
But it really is. I mean, it's her birthday party, but Nell is everyone's planning it as just like this party, like because even Lana says
Right.
it. She's like, it's just my birthday party in name at this point. Um,
Right.
so
And then we also have the big plot line or big part of it that Whitney's not going to be there because of a chance to try out for the football team. And so,
mhm.
yeah.
Steps, asked
Mhm.
to be her date. He almost blew his cover there when when he walked in from working with the field. He didn't know she was there, so he mentions that
Oh,
he
right.
like I don't even remember what he said he did, but it was like very obvious that it was like
He
not
hit
something you
something
could
and then
do.
he was like with a
Yeah,
hammer.
yeah. It was like I had a hammer, and she's like, "Oh,
Uh, yeah.
oh, that's funny."
Yes, that was a funny moment. I did find it funny how he was like with a hammer,
Yeah.
because he was having
Now
to
you believe me.
cover it up. Right, right. Not that he punched like metal or something with his hand. It was with a hammer,
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
it was. I don't remember specifically what it was either, but I remember the hammer part specifically
Mhm.
because that made me chuckle. Um, but yeah, other things we got. I found the Lex Luthor stuff in this episode interesting because it was also, well, it touched on his whole weird baldness thing.
Yeah.
Um, and
He had
then
a bit of a health thing in this episode with the white blood cells.
right.
Yeah.
And so, and it's interesting too, revealing he had asthma and then he lost his hair and all that. And so,
Mhm.
is interesting. And we're getting a little bit of a hint of the doctor, saying like, yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of weird things happen here in Smallville.
Mhm. Yeah, he's like, this is normal. Don't worry about it."
Right.
Yeah.
And so that definitely interesting. Um, we also, I don't know, this episode in particular, like the second half of this one is kind of just a blur for me. Not gonna lie, it's just one of those. I was like,
It slowed down a lot. We have Jody hit the deer, and she
right, she ate the deer. Yes, that's
eats it,
specifically where the
and
film
Chloe and
is.
Clark then go and sort of investigate it a bit. Um,
Right. At one point, Clark stops someone else from, or the one person he tried to almost help out. I don't think he was there quite in time, but I did like
yeah.
that of like the way we saw the X-ray vision. I remember when we
Mhm.
first saw X-ray vision being used, I was like, that's kind of some weird uses of it. But the ways X-ray vision was used this time, I was like, that's kind of how I expect how he'd kind of essentially sense people,
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. Um, but interesting to see that even with him eating things that
Mm,
or her eating things, I should meant to say, like you see her like her eating him, but like her face didn't move around too much in the
yeah.
X-ray, because you see those times where her face goes all big.
I know, yeah, with the deer, it's like
It was
opens up, like
huge.
yeah. Well, that's one thing I've wondered if it obviously with so far with each person that's affected by the kryptonite, the effect obviously doesn't last, but it seems to vary. It seems like sometimes it'll last like a day, sometimes it may only last a couple hours. So I guess I don't know if it's a case by case thing, um, because it seems like she has to have like those smoothies like daily, um,
Yeah.
for the most part. And then sucking the fat is like an extender, like a supplement for it, I guess.
Yeah, that is interesting, seeing all these different cases of how it's being used and stuff. I don't know, I think that's part of just the flexibility of it. I don't feel like there's a set rule for how kryptonite works for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll find an answer later on. We do get interesting stuff in, was it this episode? I think it was near the end of this episode, if I remember right, where it was Lex talking to the person with the research. Was that this
I
episode?
think that was next episode.
Was that next episode?
I
Okay,
believe
one
that
of these two. I
yeah.
watched these two like kind of back
Right.
to back, so
Yeah.
they
But,
they
yeah,
can blend
I don't
together.
yeah.
But we delve into that a bit, a little bit, which I thought was cool. So anyway, we'll get
Mhm.
to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was interesting stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm.
This one didn't stand out to me as much.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Uh,
get to the point where, Clark realizes, um, with Chloe that Pete's with Jody, and he's like,
yeah,
"Oh, crap." So he goes over there, and then she just starts attacking him. Not Pete. Jody starts attacking Clark after she almost attacked Pete. Then their garden greenhouse explodes. But that's kind of where it ends. I guess it ends when Clark gives Lana her birthday gift, which was the drive-in
right.
movie theater.
That was
But
a
yeah, I mean,
sweet little present.
yeah, I mean, it was a solid episode. It wasn't bad, but there wasn't a whole lot of like standout
Yeah.
moments per se, other than you know.
Actually, the moment I was thinking of was in this episode with Dr. Hamilton is his
Oh,
name.
it was okay. See, I watched it back
Um,
to back too, so that's what.
but because there's that moment, it was in this episode, and because
Oh,
I guess it makes more sense because Luther's quite busy dealing with a whole Situation X episode.
right,
But
right, that makes sense. Yeah.
but he talks to him about this research, and he's more interested in learning the effects of it. And I did like that this episode in particular kind of addressed that
Mhm.
of trying to advance this sort of subplot that we're all suspecting of or knowing that's influence, and for it to try to go somewhere, because obviously kryptonite could have a whole
Yeah.
important obviously it's important to have these different antagonists, but they need to figure out how to be different. And I guess it kind of goes back to a point of two of like, if you keep on if kryptonite's the main bad guy every week, maybe it could get boring or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Well,
see.
and Luther shows off once again how easy he can get dirt on someone to blackmail him. Because when Dr. Hamilton initially doesn't accept his offer, and he doesn't by the episode, but Luther's like, "Hey, I know about your past, and kind of nudges that as like, "You take my offer, or I'm gonna leak
Right.
this." Um, yeah, I thought that whole scene was interesting too. I'm curious at some point. I don't know if it'll be this season or what, but I think eventually Luther's going to figure out that it's kryptonite, and he's going to figure out how he can use it. So,
Right.
from a business standpoint, maybe not from an evil standpoint right away, because I don't think Luther's not evil right now at this point.
No, not quite. And I
But
do think next episode kind of shows that in particular.
yeah,
However, I don't know if I really have too much to say. Like both of these episodes, like I said, like I don't have too much to say on either of them. Like just I don't know. And
Mhm.
we're also gonna find too with it's just these two main episodes. Ian's the person to find
Right.
a lot to talk about because he loves the show inside and out. He
Mhm.
knows different little things that may not stand out to us as much.
Yeah.
But
Like I said, it wasn't a bad episode by any means, but also it was kind of one of those where, at least for me, not a lot happens. Like,
right.
So there wasn't a whole lot of like, oh, that's a cool scene. I mean,
Right.
so, but
Yeah.
still a fun episode. So
You know what? I will say good on Clark to show a lot of Looney Tunes at the end.
yes, I thought that was fun with the that's
Good
all fun.
taste. So
Yes.
I very much approve of that choice right there. So I like that.
Mhm.
What a
Trying to figure out where
not what I would have thought that for that time period, probably what they would have set necessarily, but or he would have chose, but
Yeah.
I like the pick. So
Yeah.
but you were about to say something?
I was gonna say, I wonder where he got the projector from. If he got it from the high school, because I know he has Chloe to help him set up a gift. So I don't know if the
Ooh.
school has it or what, but yeah.
My assumption of this may just because how much he helped Clark previously was that it was just a loan from Luther
Oh,
or something.
yeah, because it was a
So,
nice projector for the time, so that would make sense.
yeah. So I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool though. It'd be cool to have a setup like that. I mean, I guess setups like that aren't too terribly pricey nowadays.
No.
Nowadays, the problem of it isn't buying the projector, but it's having a nice setup for the projector. It's kind of
Exactly.
the thing nowadays.
Yeah, if you don't have a good setup, it doesn't matter how good the projector is, so
Yeah, that's true. We gotta find a good way to hang it and everything, like or position, or it can be a pain too. But yeah. Um. Anyway, before we move off from this episode, we finally came up with a name for MVP, which we are going to call the superstar of the episode. Do you have who is your superstar for this episode?
yeah, I think we're gonna be in agreement on this one. I think I'd have to go with Amy Adams. I mean, it just because it was fun seeing her in the episode. Like, I mean, because there wasn't really like a standout moment for a character per se,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just thought her character was fun. So maybe Pete potentially I could see 'cause he was fun
Yeah,
too. But
my mind was more with I would say Pete myself, just because sort of having him finally have his moment to shine in this episode, and
mhm.
also him having to go through with a date with an evil girl,
Exactly.
or not completely outright evil, but
Right.
not somebody that's necessarily the best, you could say.
You could
So
show he cared because even when she told him to leave and ran into her house, he followed her in. So it wasn't like he was like, "Yeah,
yeah,
I'm out of the," Yeah, that's
so
a good one.
yeah, I think yeah, that'd be mine.
Nice.
Anyway, that's it for Craving. Next up, let's talk about Jitters, where this one was a exciting one. Where I was more interested in this person. Like of the two, these were the episodes that I kind of cared a little bit more for. Where this one we found a Earl Jenkins, played by the one and only Tony Todd, which is a very nice surprise. I liked how both of these episodes had somebody that was like, oh, look at that person. I know him,
Yeah.
instead of like a cool villain of the week, it was like a more guest star of the week. Obviously, I mean, I don't know what movies they would have been in by then. Like,
Mm,
obviously, Amy Adams' big movies that we know of weren't until a bit later.
exactly, yeah.
But I'm trying to think. Tony Todd may have been in stuff then. Like, was he Candyman by then?
I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I know the first Final Destination movie had just come out the year prior.
Uh,
'Cause I have to remember this is 2001. I'm sure he had, some big movies come out.
yeah. At this point, he was already known for Candyman because that came
Okay,
out almost a decade before. So,
okay.
because that's kind of like when you think of him, at least the horror community, you just always think
Mhm.
of him from that, and so,
Okay.
but as well as obviously Final Destination, but
Yeah, I know that it's a much smaller role in that, so
sure. But anyway, the beloved Tony Todd, rest in peace, who passed away last year. Um, so it was nice to see him back. It's always nice, if when you're kind of in these shows when there's all these surprises to see faces that of just randomly, come up. And so in this case, it was 2 for 1 in this case, where we got both Amy Adams and Tony Todd. and so that was cool. I enjoyed both of their appearances very much. So,
well, I liked that his, not that Jody's wasn't like a personal thing with the kryptonite, but it really affected him personally, and he wasn't using it necessarily as an advantage. Like he wanted to get rid of it. He wasn't like, oh, this is awesome that I have. Like his was the first one that didn't really help him. The jitters only
right.
caused more harm than good. Because all the others, they kind of got something out of it, but really up until the end, he didn't really get anything out of it. He wanted to get rid of
Yeah,
it. He didn't want to keep it versus the others were
yeah,
like, oh, this is fine. I like this. So I
right.
thought that
That's
was an interesting
true.
change.
Yeah, we get some cool different things in this episode that I really liked. One thing in particular with how it begins is we see both Jonathan and Martha Kent on their way to Metropolis,
Mhm.
which that was a nice. I liked how in this episode we specifically got to see, I guess, beyond other than the premiere, which we got to see this a little bit in the premiere, but we haven't really seen it since. Um, at least not much, from what I can recall, is seeing the two of them being the happy couple that they are, rather than just being a mother and father role. We could actually explore a bit more their, or getting more of a glimpse of their relationship this episode, we should say, because still wasn't a main focus, but it was a nice subplot line that
Mhm.
was shown throughout this episode. And so seeing their relationship having some moments here and there in this episode was nice to see, I thought.
Yeah, it was the first scene with just them since the show started, since that opening scene without Clark. So yeah, it was nice. I looked it up because I was wondering how far Smallville was from Metropolis, and it seems like it's at least a couple hours of a drive.
Yeah, I'm curious of there's a bunch of different
Because it's far enough for someone to like go on vacation per se.
sure.
I mean,
Guess
I'm guessing at least an hour, maybe two. Like
I'm
it's
not 100% sure of where Metropolis is actually meant to be. I think
yeah.
one of the problems with that is I don't know if DC has a solid map of where everything's located.
No,
And
it
it
it's
doesn't
so
help that there's a bunch of open interpretations. Like, one of the things that I find silly is in what was it, Batman v Superman, where Metropolis and
Mhm.
Gotham are really close to each other.
Yeah, they're
It's
like 10 minutes apart or
like
something. Yeah.
sister cities, literally. I was like, come on, they need to
Because
be a
I
little
always
further apart
would
like
think
that.
of Metropolis as like New York area, but obviously Smallville's in Kansas, so that wouldn't make sense. That'd be too far.
Yeah. It very much gives off New York vibes, and in some ways, not,
No, yeah,
you
some,
know,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think
Maybe
what makes
Gotham is more New York. Metropolis is kind of
well, there's a reason why Christopher Nolan chose Chicago as literally his Gotham.
oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it does kind
And
of yeah.
so, and I know that's been a bunch of people's sort of inspiration for it.
See, that's how it changes so
Right.
much because I know the inspiration for Joker was 80s New York. Um,
True. Yeah.
but
Well, it's one of
yeah, I
those
was thinking about
things
Dark Knight being Chicago, so yeah,
yeah,
it just
the
changes.
interesting thing about Gotham, and I guess you could say this about Metropolis to a certain degree, but Gotham more so because of the
Mhm.
iterations of Batman that we got, is especially among all the different comic iterations, is their take on Gotham is very. It's kind of like its own character in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Look at how we see it. I mean, obviously, 66 Batman is his own thing, but even among the other things, like we see how Burton's Gotham looks, and then even Burton's Gotham onto Schumacher, and then
I don't
was
remember
he
who
also?
directed Batman and Robin.
I was about to say, was it a different guy? Wait,
I
I don't
think it
remember who it
was.
was. Yeah. Anyway, but then obviously, then from there, seeing Nolan's take, and then seeing, yeah, I guess, Snyder's take on it, if you could really count that.
Oh, no,
And
it
then
was Schumacher. Yeah.
okay, yeah, I was about to say I thought it was
Yeah,
Filmmaker then.
okay, yeah.
And then obviously to Matt Reeves, and so it's interesting to see all the different takes on it. And then we've even gotten a tonal shift in the comics recently. as far as how Gotham feels, which is interesting. So, it's one of those things that's like, it happens across all mediums and stuff. So, but
I was just looking up here, and I don't know how accurate this is, but it's saying in Smallville in the early seasons, Metropolis is meant to feel like a couple hours away. But apparently in later seasons, it switches to feeling like 30 minutes to an hour because apparently some characters commute to work there. So
well,
it doesn't say which characters,
we'll
but
come back to that, I guess.
yeah,
Because the
future us,
idea, because that
you know.
second idea, or what 30 minutes to an hour, I kind of don't. I like the more what we're talking about now for it.
I do too,
Because even then, I feel like it might be too close of a place.
yeah, because
but
even like
yeah,
it for it to be like for Jonathan and Martha to be like going away for a weekend, it's got to be at least an hour away to feel far enough, at least minimum. But I would say it's got to be closer
because if
to
it's under
2
an
to
hour, or even if it's an hour,
yeah,
it's like that's not a bad commute by any means, even for a
no.
big special date. Like
Yeah, because like my dad works in the biggest city closest to us, and that's an hour away, but I wouldn't consider that like a vacation spot. But like when I go to Dallas for the conventions, that's like 3 hours away. And
yeah,
that feels like I'm far enough away. This is like vacation. Now, Metropolis doesn't have to be like 3 hours away, but yeah, when you're talking about making that kind of drive, but I don't know. Maybe because Smallville is so small, even being an hour away in a big city can feel different. So,
Chris is saying Gotham is Chicago, Metropolis is in Kansas. That's how I interpret it. Even before
okay.
that, yeah, like
Makes sense.
I could see that. Yeah, I was literally just trying to look up to see if there is a definitive map of it, but I don't necessarily see any. They have crazy maps of the multiverse, but not of the
even in
actual world.
James Gunn's Superman, Metropolis is in Delaware. So it's like it's all over the place. It really just depends on the
I do know
iteration.
for the DCU they actually did James Gunn made an actual map, I know, for the whole DCU to like have everything be consistent. Obviously he wants places to feel differently depending on the director. Such as I think we'll see a good example of that with Clayface, and then when we see whatever, we'll get Batman Brave and the Bold. But yes, Chris, people do commute 2 hours to work sometimes. We know.
Yeah, you can take the bus. I mean, yeah.
But yeah,
I wouldn't certainly commute 2 hours, but I know there are people that are.
I was about to say, if you have to commute 2 hours, I'm not doing that job. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if there's a remote version of that job. So
yeah, exactly. Welcome in, Mr. Retro. Yes, everything is my fault. Good to see you here, though. But anyway, yeah, no, I don't know. It'll be exciting to see more Metropolis in this show as we get more into it. But obviously, the show's called Smallville, and that's where what it's all about. And so, and in this episode, we got to see a bit of it was a very Lex-centric episode, which I like to see, and not just Lex too, but also being able to see a bit of his father. I'm liking how every little bit we're getting to see some of Lionel Luthor in this case, which is interesting version of the character. And so
well, and Clark does a typical teenage thing when parents go away for the weekend. He throws a party that, of course, turns out to be a huge party. But then Whitney shows up, and then they find Earl in the barn. Looking for Jonathan. Which was interesting, and of course, then the kids Clark cleans, and then the kids are back. They couldn't get a hold of him, so they just drove back. So Clark didn't get in too much trouble though. Once he told him about Earl, got off pretty easy there. So
that's true. Yeah, don't mind the big mess in the house. We found a guy that needed help.
Exactly. Yeah, he wanted.
This is essentially how that happened.
Yeah, this was on you.
Yeah, that's funny.
And he's up talking about this level 3, which everyone at Luther Court is like, that doesn't exist. That's which you get the vibes that they're obviously hiding it.
Right.
Oh well, I skipped a beat. Earl goes to Luther Court in Metropolis,
At the
and
beginning.
that's when we see the Jitters because he kills the guy.
Or Will.
Yeah, he's just doing his job.
He's just trying to do his job and then dies for it. I guess that's the the risk with working security, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
then he's in the hospital, Earl. Yeah, I definitely liked this episode more because I thought there was more meat on the bone, especially once we get to like the field trip, and we see Chloe's dad works there at Luther Core, which I don't think we knew prior to this.
Yeah, I don't think we knew too much about her. Like, I know there was one point where we talked about her character, but I don't think it was with that. So yeah, that was an interesting little,
I think
little
the
nugget.
thing we knew about her personal life was that she didn't have a mom. I can't remember if it was through death or divorce.
That's right.
Yeah,
I don't remember which either, but yeah.
Yeah. So I knew we knew that, but as far as where her dad worked was unaware. But I did find it interesting how Lex didn't know. Lionel never told Lex that there was a level 3 at his own plant that he's overseeing. There's a bit of a barrier there, even as a father and son, which we've seen before earlier in the show, but definitely interesting dynamic between the two of them. So
yeah, so much of thinking through this episode was I felt like they had the potential to turn Tony Todd's character into like a supervillain during it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
he's literally there, going over like Ace Chemical looking like acid vats or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, my mind was just like, oh, this is like oh my gosh, why can't I think of the villain's name? This is a Superman villain that's he's a villain in the Man of Tomorrow movie. His name's escaping, but he like sucks people's up like energy and stuff and kills them that way, and like he can grow quite big in size. I'm gonna look it up because it's bothering me. Parasite.
Oh, okay.
See, I look up Man of Tomorrow and it's like the new one.
Right, yeah.
But it literally came to me right as I clicked enter there. I was like, never mind, I know what I'm thinking of now. But Parasite, it reminds me of him in some ways because he has a similar origin in the Superman Secret Origin comic. So I don't know. That's just where my mind went. I was like, Parasite.
Well, I do think it's interesting that we've seen early in the show so far that we see again in this episode is Clark is unable to just go up and fight the person, quote unquote, because they have kryptonite in them. He has to find other ways to, help end the situation. We see that once Earl's holding all the kids hostage, Clark can't get up to him because he just gets weak. And so he's able to he can't fight him, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is interesting of, you're talking about there's this whole level 3 plot in it. And we could have gotten, I do think this episode, while I definitely enjoyed the story of this episode, I mean, at least I liked it more than the last one.
Yeah.
Even though, like I said, it still wasn't one of my favorites. But I did feel like maybe we could have done a little more with like the level 3 in some ways of like,
yeah, it would have been nice to know what they were doing down there.
Yeah, like, they made a big deal out of it. I mean, maybe it's just more of a long-term thing that they're setting things up. Maybe we'll learn more of what they're actually doing there later on and more of the secret Luther core
Maybe
stuff that
Lex will
they're
look
doing.
into it more.
We gotta, obviously we do have to look at this long term, but we had a point where they were all down there and they didn't look at anything. Clark went down there, he can't find anything, and so I don't know. Would have been interesting to, I don't know. Maybe I would have liked a little something, but I also understand long form storytelling as well, as we have 10 seasons to go through, and
I wouldn't be surprised if now that Lex knows about it, if he looks more into it.
Yeah,
potentially, since it's his plant. So
that's true. And we are seeing Lex. I feel like Lex is up to like more of the interesting things more than not in the show. Last episode I liked that he was investigating the kryptonite. This episode I liked just his general involvement. Seeing him taking accountability. I like him. I like the steps that he took with his father there, being like, "Listen, this is my plant. This is my responsibility. Let me take care of this, father."
Yeah, he stood his ground.
Yeah. And so that was a really nice character moments and stuff for him, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then obviously we one moment that I thought of while you were talking about the level 3 a moment ago as well is that I like the part like right at the end of the episode where I think Luther was talking to his dad and he was like, "You lied. There was no level 3 on the maps, but there's one." And he was like, "I never said it would be on the map or whatever." And kind of twisting that idea of saying it doesn't exist because it wasn't on a map, or him only saying it's not on a map, implying it wasn't real, but never said, because it's on a map. Not on a map doesn't mean it can't exist.
Right, exactly. And it's funny. My brain worked backwards when they were talking about level 3. I was thinking they were talking about up, like the third floor, third store. I wasn't thinking down. So when I realized it was down, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Oh well.
Basement level 3, level B3. But yeah, I'm trying to think.
I mean, that's pretty much basically what happens in the episode that I can think of.
Yeah.
Once the field trip gets to the plant, I mean, we don't leave that, I think, till the end.
One of those things, and one thing I will say is like a knock against this episode was I was like, how convenient that there's just a field trip to this place.
Right,
While all this is happening, I was like, what a plot convenience.
Exactly, yeah. It's show magic, it just worked out,
I know,
and
right?
it worked out. The girl still had his thumb on the button so he could hear what Clark and his dad were saying about the field trip, so he knew to be there.
Yeah.
Because he heard Clark say that he would look for a level 3, so.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I do like, though, I like the scene, I think it was like, was it the very last scene? One of the very last scenes where it was, Jonathan Kent with, making sure Tony Todd's like okay there, as they have past history, while he's laying there in the bed at the very end. And I like in this case, like, he's a character I really hope we do get to see return someday. Like, they just kind of left him off in the health center. Lex did promise him something, so like he very much could still become like that parasite sort of villain or something else later on. Like just because he doesn't become it right now doesn't mean that he can't later on. And I appreciate them leaving an open avenue to go to later on, especially when it's something that this episode I think provided a solid foundation for interesting plot lines to branch off from. So what is level 3? I don't know.
Yeah, what was going on there? We only know a little bit, so it'll be interesting. What if Lionel just moved what was happening there to another plant?
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is with Luthor Corps being so big in this case, it obviously, while it's not necessarily faithful to the comics, it brings up a bunch of interesting ideas for this world, though. It's one of those things, despite all these changes of certain things, is like, as long as you're open to the story you're being told, it's quite good, so very interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where a bunch of the things will go. Just definitely,
Yeah.
I think both episodes in some regards, obviously this one more than the last one, laid some foundation of some interesting things to go. But we'll see where both of them go overall.
Yeah, they were both fun episodes overall. They weren't bad. I thought this one was a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a more engaging concept. You know, the
Yeah.
first one was just fun. Like, it was just funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Amy Adams
but yeah,
eating people. That's pretty much all it was.
exactly. And she really only ate one person, technically. Outside
And
of
a
the
deer.
deer. Yeah, she ate the deer, yeah. So, but
Oh,
I'm looking forward to the next set of episodes. So
yeah.
I hope they have a fun name. I can't remember what they're titled.
I
But
think
Craving.
next episode was one that Ian was telling us is a one episode to look out for. So it might only be one episode next time. And
Was it
that is,
Rogue? I can't
I
remember.
believe it's called, yes, it is called Rogue.
Okay.
And so, obviously, if we watch it, we feel like it's not as meaty, we'll throw in another episode as well. But last time when Ian made that recommendation, we talked over an hour for the one episode.
Yeah, that was one of
And
our
this
longest
time,
episodes. It was one episode, yeah.
and this time we are wrapping up the show, and it's not even 50 minutes. So,
Yeah.
it just kind of shows to say, like, yeah, these weren't bad, but we still got,
Wasn't a whole lot of meat on the bones.
there was a whole,
Jody ate
yeah.
it all, so,
I think that's how some of these episodes will be, So,
yeah.
and just the
Ian's
way
gonna
it
listen to
goes.
this, and then he's gonna tell us next week, guys, you missed this.
You missed so many good things to talk about. I did
Yeah.
message him. I don't know if he just didn't think of anything or forgot to respond or what. But I did say, I was like, if there's anything that you want to mention, like for us to mention specifically, please let us know. But
Yeah.
I didn't, and we never got a response back in that regard. So,
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe they're just not that memorable of episodes.
No, but yeah,
Maybe Ian saw these episodes and was like, "Well,
I'm sick.
yeah, I'm sick. Maybe I shouldn't watch these." So,
He's like,
uh,
oh, I'm busy,
yeah, I'm busy. I don't want to watch those again.
He was like, oh, I forgot about these episodes. Oof.
Uh, these are the
No.
problem childs of season 1. I'm gonna leave. No.
The best part about the episodes is just how well the titles go together. That's without a doubt the best part.
You know what? I have had fun over the last week telling people we'll be craving jitters tonight. Yeah. And so that was a good time. Before we do wrap up or talk about craving jitters, we do have one last part. Who is your superstar for jitters?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, I'm tempted to say Tony Todd just because it was fun seeing him as in the show with the character, but I'm gonna go with Lex just because he does stand up to his dad. He puts his foot on the ground and he's like he takes initiative, and even when he goes in knowing there's not a level 3, and even when you can tell when he, because at first I thought maybe he was lying too almost about a level 3, but when he sees level 3 and he's like, I was like, okay, yeah. So I mean, I gotta go with Lex. So
I think both Lex and Tony Todd's character, what was his name again? Earl. Him and Earl, were the two big ones that came to mind, and so I absolutely agree about everything you said about Lex. But just so our answers are different, I would definitely pick Earl, and for me, since I mean you're right. Like it was a very nice surprise of just seeing him come up, and I thought that was like a cool person of the week. So rest in peace, Tony Todd, and it was definitely one of those characters where it was even more so tragic than Amy Adams. Hers was just about, I just want to look good. More of him was more of an actual medical condition that, causing seizures that would also kill people, like.
He lost being able to see his baby and his wife, because we saw that at the beginning of the episode. That was the first scene.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
He says, "Don't worry, I'm gonna get better."
Like you had some emotional tension with this character right from the get-go, which was great. And so, there's definitely some great stuff with this character there. What was, I guess an overall fine episode, but I enjoyed his character. And so, he took initiative of, maybe he went out of bounds a little bit by the end, but
yeah, once he started holding people hostage, I was like, ooh.
given the situation, other than the hostage thing,
Yeah.
although maybe, once you're in the moment and you're like, well, this is the only way I can I get what I
Exactly.
want.
Yeah.
Although at the end of the day, it's like, just doing the hostage thing ever really get you
Yeah.
anything? Does it ever?
No. Yeah.
I don't know. But no,
Yes, I don't blame him. I mean, really, if he was able to find what got him sick, that could potentially help find a cure. Unless the doctor goes, "I've never seen this kind of rock before." Oh well.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, he'll get examined by that doctor in Craving.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. So, but yeah, that'll do it. Pretty sure this is our shortest episode yet, as we just talk about these two. But I don't think there's really much else to talk about.
Yeah.
Next week we should be back to talk about Rogue, and yeah, anyone that's tuned in a bit later, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Definitely appreciate it. Inching closer to 200 subscribers, and yeah, what do you have going on?
Yeah, so tomorrow night on the Cayman Focus YouTube channel, we're going to go live at 9 p.m. Eastern to discuss both National Treasure movies. So I'm really looking forward to that. I love both
Nice.
those movies. Let's see, Monday night on the Feast of Phantoms YouTube channel, we're going to go live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern to continue our Jessica Jones Season 2 review. I think it's episode 8 or 9, I think, is the episode. I'm blanking on the episode right now. And then Thursday night on the Cantina Happy Hour, we'll also be going live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern to discuss Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 16, I believe. So, yeah, and then I'll be back here next week. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, next week, I remember asking you well ahead of time because it is Thanksgiving holiday. I do wish everyone a good Thanksgiving holidays. Hope everyone eats a lot, but not so much that they get sick.
No, just enough to put you in a food coma.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Exactly. So, but let's see here. Dingus Den content coming up. On Monday, I am dropping a new comic club video talking about Batman White Knight.
Nice.
With Warren, who's on to talk about the last comic video I dropped, Wonder Woman Dead Earth, and then we also talking about a big series of stuff that's going on. And so I'm actually debating if I want to make that into a mini series or like its own sort of show title because since it's specifically Smallville, we made a thing for it. So I'm debating if I want to do something for that or not. Since obviously we've done a few videos together, we like doing these reviews together. So and since this is a big specific thing that's going to last at least 8 episodes, beyond that as more and more comes out for it. Well, I'm thinking about making that into its own thing, so we'll see. So stay tuned for a potential new show announcement. It's a little tease for anybody that's made it this far. Other than that, I'm trying to think. On Thanksgiving, we'll be dropping the Long Halloween read through, where I'll be getting the main work of the editing done on that this weekend. So stay tuned for that, everyone. Also, I have actually, I think tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be streamed on YouTube or not, or if it's going to be uploaded after the fact or what. But I'm joining a Star Wars tabletop RPG run by Steve, and so I have a fun character in that I'm playing, and so I'm looking forward to that. So we'll be playing that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then I don't know if there's anything else going on. If I feel up to it shortly after this stream, I might go live on Twitch for some gaming, but we'll see. It is on the table, but nothing definitive. So don't be surprised if I go live on Twitch. Check out twitch.tv/the Dingus Den. We'll see if I'm there soon or not. So, but
Nice.
without further ado, I think that's everything. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Me and Andrew this week were craving a lot of jitters. Oh, we needed the jitters. But
Oh, jitters are so good, yeah.
oh yeah, they tasted so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you all, everyone. See you all next week for more.